So how are you feeling after shooting some, guns and stuff?
I feel more on edge than I was before, but in a good way. Like now I want to go jump off something. I feel like I can skydive now. Like I was really nervous of heights. I was really nervous of shooting, did it, and I can see why people do adrenaline junkie things all the time. That's what I want to do now.
Have you skydived before?
I haven't. My mom bought me a voucher for my 30th birthday and I let it expire. So I was like, you don't know me. How am I your child? And you clearly don't know me. But now I regret that. And I do want to actually do things that scare me a lot more. I play very safe.
Same.
So yeah, except in my career. But in general, I just would not do things that scare me on purpose. So now that I have and it feels like this, I'm a lot more inclined to try scary things.
I like that. I also haven't skydived. I do think I would have used it though, because I feel like it's been something in the back of my mind. It's like, oh, I could do.
Yeah, I think someone needs to invite me on like a TV adventure that I can't say no to. It's kind of like today.
Gotcha.
Like I think I'll go skydiving, but not really like sign up myself.
Okay. Well, you have been doing some incredible things in the media industry. You would be what one would consider a fresh face.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been doing comedy or satire side of things for like 2-ish years now. But on TV, this is my first year doing a lot of things.
So right now you are a TV presenter on SABC3, which is a national broadcaster. You are an actress on the South African remake of Ugly Betty on SABC1, another, again, national broadcaster. You are on Showmax with Tally's Baby, and you have some digital shows as well. That's a lot.
It is. And Ugly Betty show is also playing on View, which is kind of like South Africa's or Africa's answer to Netflix. So it's going to be broadcast and like they're dubbing it into French. So I might be famous in Cameroon soon, kind of thing. Yeah.
That's exciting.
That's cool. Yeah.
With all of that and with all these things that are happening, a fresh face in the industry, I'm actually curious, how do you feel about navigating this media space? Has there been things where you're just like, I wish somebody prepared me for this?
A lot. I wish people would prepare me for the workload. I think sometimes when you see things on TV, it looks so nice. And it is, but I mean, for the Ugly Betty show, we shoot like sometimes 12 to 14 hours a day, 6 days a week.
6 days a week?
Yeah.
So you guys don't get breaks in between?
We don't. I mean, this is the first Saturday that I'm going to have off in a very long time. So I'm enjoying it very much. And then trending also is Monday to Wednesday because we shoot all 5 shows in the first 3 days of the week. So there's never really downtime. I learned for the first time that there is such a thing as being too busy to date. Like I'm trying to navigate this world and I'm like, can you go on a date this day? No, I can't. Oh my God, no, I can't. It seems like I'm disinterested, but there's just no time. Yeah. So I wish people prepared us for how much work there actually is. Yeah. And the fact that you really need to be passionate about it to do it. It's not going to be easy if it's just about the end goal, which is, I mean, for some people it could be fame or money. And being also like a new face, people always being a new face, people always say, oh, overnight sensation or whatever it is. And I really hate that term because I went to varsity sort of 10 years ago to study theatre, to study drama. I did short courses in musical theatre. I did a short course in advertising just to be safe. I did a TV writing course in Columbia. So I've also got everything to back it up and I've been working towards this for 10 years. And only now are things starting to pop off. So I think it's a bit like insulting to be like, oh, overnight sensation when it's been like 10 years in the making. But I mean, shit, finally, fucking finally.
Yes, I do agree. I think people, especially those who are not in media, have this perception of the overnight success, that it's just, videos went viral, okay, here you are. Yeah. But not only is coming into the space hard, staying in and navigating it is very challenging as well. So you said being too busy and having to navigate that. I don't know how you're able to do 6 days a week. The show that I'm on, we shoot 3 times and I was like, also full long days. Yeah. And that was already tiring. So I mean,
before this, I never drank coffee. And now I think I drink about 3 cups a day. So that's how. But again, sometimes when you see the finished products, like the first time we saw the promo, it was like, oh, damn, that's me on TV. So I think those type of things help navigate the exhaustion of it all. And the fact that, I go home, I sleep, I wake up, I go to work. I go home, I sleep, I wake up, I go to work. So it's very little time anymore for socializing. And being the social butterfly that I am, I get into like moody moments where I'm just like, oh my gosh, I just want to see people and not the ones that I work with, as much as I like them. But I think also sometimes the industry can be a bit dark. Things can happen that just like will shock you sometimes, and you just have to like, I mean, I see a lot of the times people call out celebrities for being silent on issues, or, you know, why didn't you say something about this? And I learned very quickly that it's not really always because people don't want to say something. Sometimes you have people above you that are just like, you cannot say something.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of some of the things that I think I struggle with, being very vocal and having come into this industry because of how vocal I am. And then, yeah, so that's all I can say.
You do. There is a media training side to it. Yeah. There's a how to navigate so that you still get a job in the future, so you make your current bosses happy and you somehow make yourself happy.
Exactly, and still stay true to yourself, but also learn that it comes with a little bit of compromising or a little bit of media training.
Yeah. Let's talk about the style aspect of things, because a lot of people want to get into the media space because they see the glitz and the glamour, right? They see, oh my gosh, you're on TV, you're looking great, you have events, you're going to places. Obviously, it's COVID right now, so situations are different, and it's not as, like, I guess, as amped as it would be before. Yeah. But with style, with taking care of yourself, how do you navigate that now, whereas maybe you didn't need to as intensely as you did before?
Well, now people actually want to dress me. So it's a lot easier to navigate that side of things, because before I had to like pay for everything I wore and try find different things every day.
People don't know that. Yeah. People don't know that on some sets, like, it's when you start out, you sometimes have to figure out clothing.
For a long time, for 3 years. And I was doing this show where I was shooting every single week. So none of the things I wore could be the same. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm not getting paid that much yet to like find these clothes that look glamorous and different. Yeah. And so that was a lot. But I mean, like on Trending and Ugly Betty, but that's a character base. On Trending, we have a stylist. And because I had an issue with a designer that was quite public, a lot of designers and stores have wanted to work with me to, I don't know if to make up for his shit, but just to be like, hey girl, like not the whole industry is not inclusive. Like we support all kinds of bodies and we love dressing people, and we love your vocalness as well. So, and staying true to yourself. And so being on Trending is really cool, because obviously even the clothes that we get styled, like if I like something a lot, I can be like, okay, I'll buy this. And sometimes designers will gift it. Yeah. So it's really, really cool that way, how I navigate that. I don't think I'm actually taking care of myself enough. I was actually doing a lot of gym in the beginning of the year, and I felt really positive. But I just, like, it's either I go at 4 o'clock now, a.m., or like 9 after a 12-hour day. And sometimes I'm just like, oh, no, ma'am. But I'm trying to find a way to be able to navigate that, because I do think for like more than just physical health, for my mental health, gym was everything. Yeah. So I miss that a lot. I miss having time for that.
Like we said, you're still a fresh face in the industry, so it's still navigating and getting that balance right. And so I'm sure with time. I'm
also a night owl. Sometimes I just need to learn how to sleep, but my thoughts at night are just like, and then this is what I'm gonna do, and then my career's going, So I wish I could learn to shut off, because I think if I could sleep at 9 o'clock on the dot, 4 o'clock gym wouldn't be that overwhelming. It's just that I sleep at like 1, 2, and then I have to be up at like 6.
What other challenges would you say you had to face in regards to communications with brands, with production companies? And I think navigating that aspect of it can also be tricky, because, for example, you might want a specific job, but maybe you have a manager, maybe you don't. Maybe you have to be in negotiations. That's tricky. How did you find that aspect? Because when you're starting, I don't think people realize that when you're starting out, or you've gotten the opportunity now in the media space, the team aspect of it is not as established yet. Yeah. And so there's still a lot that needs to be figured out. How did you navigate that?
Well, in the beginning, people didn't want to touch my brand, because satire is quite, and my specific style is quite biting. Obviously, it's quite...
When you say people, do you mean managers, agents? Do you mean production companies?
I mean brands mostly, because in the beginning I wasn't really looking for, I can't have a manager if I don't have work. Like, what's the point? So I was talking about like brands and trying to make relationships with people to be like, I want to do this full time. I don't want to work anymore. I want to do Instagram and YouTube, and please, will you work with me? And I'm trying to make a message about South Africa, and it's really going to be received well, I promise you. And people were just like, it's just too much. Like the things you say about white people, it's a bit too much. It's a bit too dangerous. We're not sure because then they're going to cancel our brand. And anyway, it took one brand, and I think it was Take A Lot was the first one that was like, we're willing to take the risk. Let's go. And after Take A Lot, then it was just brand after brand after brand. But yeah, I had to wait for the first person to be like, hey, we'll take a risk. If we get cancelled, I don't know what's going to happen, but we like what we see so far. And then the manager thing kind of came after that.
How did you navigate that aspect of it?
I actually got called by the team that is now my manager. So they were like, we see you and your work. And, I think the lady actually said, my daughter sent me your stuff. So I really love what you're doing. I really think it's going to take off. I think it's an important thing, but I also think it's really, really dope. She didn't say dope because she's old and white, but she said, like, it's really good. And then they called me in. We had a meeting. We got along really well. We both had the same vision. I told them about how I went to school and I want to be an actress eventually. And I was actually nervous because I was stuck inside Coconut Kelz for a very long time. I kept saying, like, I don't want to end up being one of those people who is one character, especially because I've done the acting craft and the learning and the school. So I was like, please help me navigate out of this quickly. Yeah. So that I can still do Kelz, but it's not the only thing I can do. And it actually took way longer than I wanted it to actually get out of there, because every time the phone rang, people were like, Kelz. I was like, oh, but there's also Lesego who also does this. And they were like, yeah. So Kelz, I was like, okay, shit, okay. So it took a long time, but with the help of the manager, and luckily, most of what's happened to me, honestly, so far until late last year was things happening to me, brands calling me, my manager calling me. And it was only last year that I decided that I also need to be strategic as much as I am lucky, because, luck can run out. And that's when I decided, okay, we're going to be an actress. So, and I went for these things specifically. Trending, essay, every time they interviewed me on the air, I was like, to the producers, if you're watching this, hire me. And a week after one of my interviews where I said that, they called and they were like, actually, are you free? So I was like, ooh, manifestation. So there's a whole lot of manifesting, there's a whole lot of calling, there's a whole lot of emails, cold calls, and not waiting so much anymore, which I used to do.
I love that. So cold calls, talk to me about that. You actually being proactive. Yeah. What does that entail? Break it down. Like, give me an example of some of the things that you've done to be proactive about maybe not just being Coconut Kelz, but being a presenter, being an actress.
Last year, I really, really was focused on getting onto radio. It's just that I have no experience and I don't know how to get that started. But I sent an email to like every radio station you can think of. And I was like, guys, this is what I can do. This is what I have done. Look at the work that I've done on YouTube. Because I used to have a show called Unfiltered where we spoke about like the issues of the day. And actually, some of the responses from people on radio were like the same that I got with Kelz earlier on. Like, yo, it's a bit hectic. It's a bit political. It's a bit intense. Like, we need just someone to play music, bro, and just like chill kind of thing. So I don't know. I think the nice thing about what I'm doing now is that people get to see the other side, and that I can be totally chill. Like, I'm one of the most relaxed people, but also if you come incorrect, we're going to have a debate. So yeah, whatever. That didn't really pan out, but that was the first time I actually sat down and I was like, I'm going to email and ask and present myself. And even with the trending thing, like I said, I didn't quite do emails that way, but I said it every single time I was in the production area with them, and I was like, listen, guys, if you want a fourth chair, let me know, please. I'm really keen on this thing. So yeah, I don't have much time to do anything else right now, and I would not take on any other job right now until we take our production break at the end of May. But I don't know, radio is still a thing on my horizons. I'm not letting that dream go. I'm still chasing it, so we'll see. So people did take a while to differentiate Lesego from Coconut Kelz. Mm-hmm. But Lesego you went to NYC, you studied film? I studied musical theatre there and writing for TV.
Okay, so you studied musical theatre and writing for TV in New York. You studied in London as well. You studied in Cape Town. This is all within the media space.
Everything I've done, except for the 6 months that I spent at Wits before I dropped out, was for this career. I did a BCom because my parents insisted, and I was like, and then I just dropped out after my June exams.
But you knew really early on that this is where you wanted to be.
Yeah, I knew. Like, I think I was one of those people who was born knowing. I honestly don't remember a time where I did not want to be a singer or an actress. I used to say singer a lot. Now that dream is like bizarre because I don't think anyone needs to hear an album of my voice. But always used to say singer, actress. And to the point where even when I was applying for varsity and being told, no, you have to do a BCom, my teachers were like, are your parents crazy? Like, you are the actress of the school. And I was in every play. And so it took, when I started actually finally doing that and, even wrote a book, my English teacher was like, girl, didn't I tell you in grade 11 that you're going to write a book? I knew, my teachers knew, my parents even knew on some level, but obviously when you have black parents, it's a bit tough for them to imagine having a career that isn't stable. So I think for them, it wasn't like, we don't want to support your dreams. Now they're my biggest cheerleaders ever, but it's because they can see that this kind of career is feasible and it's something that you can make money from and it's something you can support yourself from. I just don't think my parents thought, we want to have our child here until she's 40, So once it got possible, and they're both doctors, so, and my sister's in, property, and my cousin's in finance. So everybody is doing something else, and I'm the only artist in my family. And I think it took them a while to see that. And once they did, though, it was like, okay, let's go.
Did you feel like it was heartbreaking or just a hurdle that you just had to just be calm, you know what you want to do, but let's just do this for the parents?
Yeah, I didn't think I had a choice, so I did the BCom, but it was very, very devastating for me. Like, I felt like I was in a jail. I knew from the first day of school that, like, I wasn't going to last. I was just like, cool, all right. I'm not sure when, but I need to drop out soon because this is killing me. And I think in my, towards the time I was dropping out, I don't know if it was clinical depression because I wasn't diagnosed, but, that's the closest I've ever felt to being depressed. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I can't do this. And it's not just because I physically cannot calculate the numbers. It's because I cannot do this.
Yeah. And was that the 6 months in Wits?
Yeah, it was the 6 months in Wits, but it was also UCT because even at UCT, I had to do, they still weren't convinced about drama. I wasn't on the hidden campus that I wanted to be. I was still doing media studies and English, which I could do, but I just wasn't happy. I was like, I don't want to be a journalist. Yeah. I don't want to write. I want to act. Please, let me go act. So I was still pretty fucking bummed at UCT. And then finally in my second or third year, my mom was like, okay, write it down. What do you want? And you've been talking about this for so long. I believe you now. I believe you. You can do this. But we're not going to study here in South Africa. You're going to go to a place where it's the best. So you want to go to the US? Do you want to go to the UK? I was like, UK. And then we flew and she was like, go audition. If you don't make it, then let this thing go and finish your degree. And then I got in. Sorry.
So you finished studying, you finally got the chance to study what you love to do. Let's talk about that phase in between. Because after finishing studying and now you think, I'm going to enter the media industry.
I did.
And then, because that's what everybody thinks, right?
I was like, well, they're waiting for me, basically.
So that point in the middle before you finally get the Coconut Kelz personality that, blows up. Let's talk about that in between. Straight out of varsity, what happened?
So I came home and I was like, oh, I'm going to be a star. And I went for an audition. My mom knew a producer who was quite big in the industry. And she was like, go speak to him and ask him how to navigate this thing. And I did. And then he was kind of like, you know what? It's really, really tough for a plus size lady to navigate this industry in the front of the scenes. You're going to be competing with the Bonangs and the Minis and you're just never going to make it. So I think you should do a short course in something that will take you behind the scenes and rather go there. And it was one meeting, but that's all it took for me. I was just like, okay. And then I was like, okay, he's the big producer. He's the one who makes a lot of decisions. If he's saying that I'm not going to make it, then I'm not going to make it. And I went to go apply for jobs in production and TV writing, and I worked behind the scenes for, I think it was 3-ish years, something like that. But whilst that happened, I started doing Coconut Kelz on the side to free my mind from the depression or the whatever was happening whilst working and watching other people live my dream right in front of me.
Because you had the hurdle, first of all, to study something else, right? And then you get in front of this producer who's like, it's not going to work, let it go. And you just let it go?
I did immediately. Like, I don't think you know what it's like for someone to tell you that not because of your talent, not because of your whatever, that just the way you look is going to completely hold you back for life. So hearing that, like, just broke me. And I was like, I don't want to continuously go into rooms where people are going to tell me that every day. I'm not strong enough for that. So it's okay. I'm just going to go do what he said I should do. And also, I did see it as a kind of way to be like, maybe meeting the people that I'll be working with, I can one day say, oh, by the way, I can present if you want, if someone's sick, or I can act. So I did kind of see it as a window, but I actually found it's much harder to go that way, because once people see you as a producer or a writer and you put up your hand for something in front of the thing, they're just like, babe, that's not what you're here for. We've got people that we can call. So I had to leave in order to then go around the other side.
That mental space of like, okay, I'm giving up being on camera and just focusing on producing and writing. What was great? How long was that phase?
It was like, I don't know, I can't remember how long I worked for. I think I worked for like 3 years, but I was also unemployed for 2 years after that, because I left that kind of environment. I was like, I'm not happy. It's not working. I'm going to make Kelz work. But then Kelz wasn't really working, so I was like, fuck, I have to apply for jobs again. And then as I was applying the second time, I got, then the video went viral on ENCA, and then things changed. But yeah, man, this journey has been so hard. It's been, because I also had so many qualifications that I thought would make me the most desirable candidate in any space. I was like, and I got a student lorry whilst doing my advertising thing, and I got, I studied in New York and London. Oh my gosh, these people are going to clamor for me. Reps, no. No, they did not. They were just like, cool, everybody's studied, ma'am. And then I realized that, like, in arts, it's actually what you know. There are a lot of people in the production space, on our set specifically, who've never gone to varsity. They just picked up a camera and started shooting and doing it. So I don't want to like shit on school, but I just don't think it's like the be all and end all that people make it. And I wish people wouldn't put so much pressure on varsity for a lot of things, because here it's about experience. Even in advertising, I won this student lorry thing. I was like, cool, everyone's going to want to hire me. And they were like, where's your portfolio? And I was like, well, I only did a short course. I have never worked in this industry. And they were like, well, girl. So really, it's what you know.
Yeah.
And who you know.
Yeah.
But not through school.
Okay. All right.
But stay in school at the same time. Fuck, my message is confused.
Yeah. Well,
if you are in school though, get a job or do the learnings, do the YouTube, get an internship. Like, it's really, 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 really about the experience.
Definitely gain experience and learn, but learning doesn't have to take the form of university.
That's the thing.
Yes, it doesn't have to take that form, because my come up was YouTube.
Yeah.
Right.
And mine was Instagram. Nobody gave a about my degrees. Like I said, I'm sorry, I don't even know if I'm allowed to swear on the show, but I came with a CV stacked. And I also had worked with, gone to advertising agencies. Can I please get an internship? Can I please try it out? And after Kelz blew up, these same people that had said no to me just the year before were like, please, can we work with you? And I was like, I don't have new skills. So it's not about what I know school-wise. This is just because of who I was at the time. So yeah, I think social media is your mate. But if you're in the creative space, I honestly would advise like internships, experience. Yeah. Cool.
I mean, we wouldn't go that far.
I kind of would. Like, it's just a waste. It's a waste, man. Do short courses, but I don't think anyone, like, I don't want to sell this because the kids are the future and blah, blah, blah. But like...
But I do think if you do go to varsity, there's certain relationships that can be helpful in varsity. They can be... I
think varsity helps you to think.
Yes.
And it helps you to, put things together in terms of research and in terms of doing, a dissertation and things like that.
But it's not vital.
But I don't think in a creative space, because there's places like Boston, places like Vega, where I think they give you experiential learning. So maybe I wish varsity would change rather than saying it ain't shit, but like, I wish it was more training based with the education. I think in South Africa, everything is so books based. When I was in UCT and I was doing media studies, we only wrote our first article in third year. and we're supposed to be preparing for the real world. And whilst in London, everything is very, very practical as much as it is theory. So I think maybe varsity should change rather than like, don't go. But yeah.
Now I want to touch on something because I just put 1 and 1 together, right? 1 or 2 and 2, whatever. That here you are sitting with a producer who tells you that because of the way you look, you're not going to make it work, right? And then you have an experience with a fashion designer based off of that same way. Did this come back up? Did your experience with this designer bring up, that emotional touch points, especially hearing that, okay, firstly, you weren't even supposed to be in this industry anyway because. Talk to me about that.
I actually did not even put 2 and 2 together like that, but because my reaction was so visceral and so deep, I clearly know that there was more than just that thing. But again, it was also like in a space where other people were there. It was in a space where it was because it was for my work. It was in a space where I was really excited to be there because this person was quite big. So that's what sucked for me. And I think, a lot of the times, I speak to Black Wendy about this all the time, and we're always like, we're going to do a sit down like this where we speak about fat phobia in the industry. But 1,000 times out of, or 9 times out of 10, you get told you don't belong there, you shouldn't be in that room. You have to fight so hard for like minuscule crumbs, just by virtue of how you look. So it is really irritating when an experience that has nothing to do, or shouldn't have anything to do with that because it's your job, that comes up again. But I don't want to spend time on this nigga, fuck him.
What advice would you give to someone who's in a position like that? It might not be weight related, because I've had situations like that and it wasn't weight related. But this media industry sometimes has its way of picking at certain things that can really trigger, because it does become so personal. Creative beings give of themselves. They give of themselves and their skills, their knowledge, their understanding, how their perception, of music.
Once you realize this industry is extremely fatphobic, it's extremely colorist. If you're not like a light-skinned, thin girl, it's going to be a journey for you. So once you realize that, and then also realize that in order to be taken seriously as a person who fits outside the light-skinned pretty girl thing, you need to be brilliant. And it sucks that you have to be even more brilliant than like a person who can be okay and still get the job. But then we really are brilliant when we get in there still, despite everything that told us that we couldn't.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool anyway, because I wouldn't want to have the easy road. I wouldn't want to have the road that gives me permission. Like I took up space, the way Zosie told us to. And I think that it's really cool that it wasn't easy, because that's what gave me the chance to go get all these skills so that I could make sure when I walk the walk and talk the talk, I can back it up. So it's okay. But I just think if you don't have the things that are naturally, what is accepted, because everyone will point to someone and be like, oh, but what about Thick Leonce, or what about Lupita Nyong'o? And I'm like, the fact that we can name 1 or 2 is the problem. It's the fucking problem. Lizzo, whatever. But I think just make sure you're brilliant and stand out and keep working and use social media, because the traditional way is still very much exclusive, but social media speaks for itself. Yeah. Once people love you, they can't say no.
That's true. Okay.
And that's on Mary Had a Little Lamb.
No, I love that, because I feel like a number of people within the media industry, coming into the media industry, you're going to get some kind of, because I feel like the media industry just doesn't move out of its little box until, like you said, you have that audience, you have the people being like, this is what we want, make it work. And so in that moment, in any moment, what do you use, or what do you listen to things? How do you get yourself in a mind space that, I don't know if pump yourself up is the right word, but to put yourself in the mental position to tackle the space that you're in?
It's actually just my mom. She is, I always tease her and call her Yanla, because she's always got words of wisdom. I'm like, Mom, not now. I just want to vent. I just want to scream. I just want to cry. But really, 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 she is one of the most insightful people I know. She's also so positive and powerful, and I just have so many positive things about her. She also gave me a chance to be like, I don't want to work right now. Can I just try and get Kelz going? And she was like, cool, you have 1 year. If you don't make it work, you're going back to work. So she's the person, she's the person I call when shit is going down. I cry with her, she'll listen, and then she's like, cool, now you've had a cry, pick yourself up and let's do this. Look at what the opportunities that have come. Yes, there's this, well, I almost said the guy's name. There's a designer, there's this industry, there's whatever, but look at what there is as well. There's Ugly Betty, Bettina Wetu, there's Trending Essay, there's Take a Lot, whatever. So don't sit in it.
Yeah.
And I'm a big crier anyway. I cry all the time. And once it feels like, I don't know what to say, it kind of feels like a cleansing thing. Mm-hmm. Once I've cried, it's gone. Yeah. The tears, take it with it, and then it washes away and we're starting again. So I react a lot and quite heavily, but it's like one moment and then we move. And yeah, with my mom's help.
Now, I didn't want to touch a lot on Coconut Kelz because I wanted to focus on Lesego, but you can't talk about your come up or your coming up without touching on Coconut Kelz a bit. So I
also
don't
hate Kelz. I just
no. Not that you hate it, but like I really wanted to focus on you because you're more than just the character that is Coconut Kelz. But that was almost a launching pad, I would say.
Definitely.
Towards who you are now in the media industry. So talk to me about creating the content, not the personality, but the actual creating the content.
I mean, I actually had a conversation the other day. Riky Rick called and he was like, okay, heard about this Katera thing, tell me everything. So we had a conversation and he was like, can I also give you advice? I was like, yo, big brother or whatever. Like, keep other shit going. Just because you have your moment in the sun right now, don't think it lasts forever. There's so many people who 5 years ago were popping that we can't remember their names right now. Yeah. And if you think you can rest on the things that are happening right now and not be creating ways to continue moving forward, even if trending drops you, even if Ugly Betty drops you, you're still creating, you're still moving forward. You're going to be shocked in the future. Because he also was like, I'm a hip-hop artist. I thought hip-hop was forever. Yeah. And now it's Yanos. But because I was continuing producing and creating contacts with people, I'm making Yanos songs now. So you got to keep evolving. Don't think you're the
Cool. So with Coconut Kelz, how frequent were you putting out content? What was the plan behind that? When did you see that there's something here?
I saw pretty much from like videos, maybe 2 or 3, something like that. And that was still just on my personal Facebook. I wasn't sharing it publicly. But the reaction from my friends and the fact that they were like, we've shared this with our family, with our friends, like people are asking for more and please make this public. I promise you it's a thing. It took me like 6 months after the third, I think, video to make it public. But I didn't have a content plan because I was working full time and I didn't really think it was going to be like a thing. And not that many people were doing digital stuff that I was aware of yet, especially comedy-wise. So I didn't know it was like an actual viable thing. So I think I was putting out content once every... it was actually event dependent. Someone's racist, someone says the K word, there's content. I make a video. But it wasn't like a lot of things were happening until election year, which was end of 2018 into 2019. And then the news people started picking me up and saying, okay, because it's elections, we want political analysis on this, and this is a great way to do it without being like, getting an actual politics graduate, whatever. Then after the ENCA video I did with Jane, then that went like viral more than I'd ever seen, like over 1 million people in a week, and like, so that was fucking crazy. And I was like, oh, this is like a thing. Yeah. And then I started imagining like late night talk show, Jimmy Fallon, Trevor Noah type of thing. South Africa just doesn't have the budget or the wherewithal or the what. It's always that kind of conversation. So I was just like, whatever. But that was when I realized, like, okay, I can do this as a career. I can move on and do other things. That was very exciting for me. Yeah. And then I started working for 702, which was like I was doing a weekly roundup of the news as Coconut Kelz, and I had to drop a lead-up video every week. That became weekly. And then I also saw that kind of output had a lot of gain and traction, and then brands were calling and whatever. But it's very tiring to do Kelz every week. And it's also less funny when it's more contrived like that. It just felt like I'm forcing content and it's not, when I give people like a break and then I just come in shock, it's much, much more well received. I also was starting to feel a bit resentful because I felt stuck, but also I was being paid to do stuff with brands, which meant a lot of stuff was being limited. I couldn't say this, I couldn't mention this. And I was like, well, what's the point of asking to work with a Coconut Kelz and then saying, don't be Coconut Kelz? So I actually decided end of last year that for maybe a year, if I can afford it, to not take brand work and just see the love and passion come back with Kelz. And I haven't actually for a few months now. So, and it's been great, actually.
Love that. Sure.
Sometimes brand work can be more stifling than people think, you know.
Definitely. And I think the great thing is now that you're in a position that you can say no to brand work, because especially with digital guys, when they can't say no because they still need to pay the bills, that's when it gets extremely tricky.
Yeah.
So you've got traditional going really well. You are pursuing digital even more. I mean, Coconut Kelz is digital. By the way, for those who don't know Coconut Kelz, who's Coconut
There's
Kelz?
so many people who don't know. But must I describe her or the work that I do?
Maybe both.
Okay, so she is like, I guess she's always 21. I don't know why. She's in varsity.
Coconut Kelz is 21.
She's young. She's just like young. I think at some point she has to grow up because it's going to show on my face. But like right now she's still a bit young. She's in varsity. She's one of these, for me, she's like a personification of what I imagine the DA is. She's like the DA come to life. So that's what I would say she is as a person. But it's a satirical character that I created to criticize and critique white privilege especially. But it also then became something that I was like, oh, I need to speak to the government as well, because there's a lot of trash happening with our ruling party as well. It's just easier sometimes to critique white privilege and whiteness because it's so glaring, and there was a stage where people were dropping the K word every week, and I was like, yo, thanks for the content. But yeah, it's just a way to criticize and critique the shit that happens in South Africa that I'm not okay with.
Yeah. Okay. So with you being on traditional now, you having digital Coconut Kelz, I saw you YouTubing.
Yes.
Doing the thing.
I'm trying to be a YouTuber now. I'm so interested in beauty and fashion and lifestyle. And I think people are starting to see that on my Instagram. But I also record everything. I'm the social media girl. If we're going somewhere, I'm on Instagram all day. So I was like, why not make it and package it into like a YouTube type of thing? I'm in Cape Town now on a beautiful holiday. Let's do it. Like, I love watching people's videos. So I just kind of want to make it and see. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, then I'll stop.
Yeah. Now, off camera, we were chatting about something that I'd like to bring on camera. But you were talking about the fact that you just can't lean on one thing, right? So being an actress right now, TV presenter, you're currently working, which is awesome. But the need to constantly be evolving. Let's talk about that.
So actually, on camera, I want to shout out Riky Rick because he is the one person I had a conversation with recently, and he was the one who was like, just giving advice because, I've known him since I think we were born, I don't know. But he was like, you can't stick in one lane and think it's going to work out forever. You can't be a one-dimensional artist, especially in South Africa where they don't pay artists a lot. In America, you can be just a comedian, but they make millions. Here, we don't at all. So I understand, like, I know people always want the industry to open, and I hope that there are more ways and paths for it to happen. But I also fully understand the girls who want to be an actress, a rapper, a DJ, and make alcohol or whatever it is, because why not? Like, first of all, there's not enough money in one stream at all. But also, most creatives are creative because our minds are everywhere. Yeah. I also qualified as a DJ. I went to Fuse Academy, actually, which was run by DJ Zintle, and learned how to DJ because I love music and I love entertaining people and I love the crowd and I love my specific style of music, which was 90s, and I never heard it enough when I went out. So I was like, I'll play it. So we have so many interests in our minds anyway, and most creatives are good at so many different things. So why not make money from them? And I think that it's very important not to stick in one thing. Over the last 3 years, I've been a comedian, satirist, TV presenter, actress, DJ for some few gigs. So I'm not going to stop collecting things. First of all, I get bored very easily. But also, I love different sides of this industry. I want to actually do it all. I don't even just sit on it, though. If I want to do something, I mostly go and I study it, or I'll do a short course. Whether I believe in varsity or not, you see, it's up and down. I go and study it. And then I put my back into it and I make sure I do it well.
Yeah.
But I don't think that it's fair to limit anyone, and I'm not going to be limited. If I'm going to drop a hair range next year, I'm going to drop a hair range, you know what I mean? So coming for all the bags because they're not enough, they're not big enough, they're not secure enough. And you've seen what the arts department does with things and money that they're supposed to be giving to artists. So you can't be depending on them either. You got to just grab everything.
Absolutely.
And actually not even just within the arts. If people want to go do property, people want to go do, something scientific, I don't know. But like, I think branch out as much as possible.
Definitely. All right. Now wrapping up. For those who want to come into this industry, actually, no. For those who are starting to actually really engage with this industry, maybe they've booked their first big job, they're actually in the media space now, a fresh face, what advice would you give?
Well, I'm still a fresh face. I don't know if I get to give advice.
But that's why you're the perfect person, because you're in it. Because by the time we're talking about this, I'm sure once she's like, one of the awards, whatever. It's like, it's a far out thing. But for somebody going through it now, your perception now is still going to be different from then, I'm sure.
Well, I would say one thing I've learned in the last 3 months is to not take anything personally, not critique, not decisions made, not just anything. Because I've also seen people lose their job like this and get jobs like this, and things change, and now it's new faces, and it's quite callous. So I think not to take anything too personally, because this industry can eat you up. At some point last week, or maybe the last month, I just thought, okay, I'm too sensitive for this industry. Like, I feel very strongly about certain issues that get swept under the carpet in this industry, and it's killing me. And I don't know how to stand by and just be okay with it. It's not okay. So I think I'm trying to learn how to just be like, it's not my portion. I'm not going to fight for everything. I'm not fighting for everyone. I'm not going to be everybody's Sarafina, actually. I'm going to let shit go. And not take things so personal, because people aren't doing it to me as much as I hate it, as much as I'll see something that maybe looks like, racism or, misogyny or sexism or whatever it is, or harassment, and want to speak up all the time. I think I've just learned to like let go and let God, and not take things personally. So that, but also, again, use all the resources you have online. If you want to be if you want to be on TV, do something on YouTube, do something on Instagram. If you want to be on radio, start a podcast. Like, literally pick up the tools that you have, and you don't need equipment like this. You don't need the cameras. You just need a phone. I started my videos with like a Samsung S, the one from like very many years ago. I'm just saying, I had a very rinky-dink phone, and my videos, even when I look at the quality now, I'm like, but that's all. I didn't need quality. I just needed the jokes and my personality and what I had. So stop waiting. Just start the thing. Put it out there. Also, there are people who are born to critique. There are people who thrive on hating because there's the only thing they have going on in their lives. Like, that thing of getting retweets and likes feeds them because nothing else does. So you can't be afraid of people's opinions. You can literally be Beyonce. There are still people who are like, Beyonce, she's not talented, she can't sing. You can't wait for approval, and you can't hope that everyone's going to like it, because they won't. Yeah. But you got to do it if you're passionate about it.
So true. Lesego, thank you so much for spending some time with me today, from the gun range to this awesome conversation.
I had a bucket list item today. I had a deep conversation. I had some laughs. It's been a really great day.
Awesome. Well, all the best. I know we're gonna see even more great things from you.
And you, Miss Honey, Miss Honey Channel.
Just. But yeah, thanks for being here.
Cool. Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, I don't know what was that, but that was the perfect end, guys. It's so
Everyone's like.